Now, this is all the money Niska gave us in advance. You bring it back to him, tell him the job didn't work out. We're not thieves. Well, we are thieves. The point is, we're not taking what's his.
Fox had lightning in a bottle. A space western with chemistry so electric you could feel it through the screen, writing that made you laugh and cry in the same scene, and a fan base so devoted they literally campaigned to bring it back from the dead. What did Fox do with this gift? Cancelled it after 14 episodes and aired them out of order like they were actively trying to confuse people. 2 decades later, Firefly remains the gold standard for gone too soon television. One short season that spawned a movie, conventions packed with browncoats, and enough merchandise to fill Serenity's cargo bay twice over. The show gave us new slang, made Nathan Fillion a household name, and proved that sci-fi didn't need to take itself too seriously to be taken seriously. But the real story isn't just what we saw on screen, it's what happened behind the scenes, the near misses, the happy accidents, and the passionate people who knew they were creating something special even as the network was sharpening its axe. Today we're breaking down 15 wild facts that explain how one of the greatest sci-fi shows ever made
Shiny? Well, shiny.
got cancelled faster than you can say shiny. Before we jump into the verse, do us a solid and hit that like button and subscribe. We've got tons more deep dives into your favorite cult classics coming your way, and you won't want to miss them. Trust us, the truth behind fact number 8 will make you want to take the black all over again. Now buckle up, browncoats, because we're diving into the chaos that created and killed Firefly. Number 15. Firefly actually went to space. In 2007, astronaut Stephen Ray Swanson did what every Firefly fan dreams about.
We had many challenges. Most of all, there was just the overall breadth of knowledge that you need to learn while you're in space or before going to space.
He took the show into space. Not metaphorically, literally into orbit aboard the International Space Station. While circling Earth at over 17,000 miles per hour, Swanson binge-watched the entire series and the Serenity movie from the cupola module, which has the station's best view. Imagine watching Malcolm Reynolds navigate the black while you're actually in the black 250 miles above the planet. This means Firefly has been farther from Earth than most satellites and higher than any commercial airplane. It exists in the actual void its characters call home. No other sci-fi show can claim that. Your favorite space opera might take place among the stars, but Firefly actually made it there. That's not just fan dedication, that's cosmic-level commitment to a show that only got 14 episodes before Fox pulled the plug. And speaking of commitment, Nathan Fillion committed to something the writers never planned on. Number 14. The most famous line was improvised. One of Firefly's most quoted moments wasn't even written. Nathan Fillion improvised it on the spot. While filming the pilot, Fillion was supposed to deliver some generic defiant response to an Alliance officer. Instead, he went off-script and dropped 4 words that would become fan shirts, internet memes, and the unofficial browncoat motto, "Big damn heroes, sir."
Big damn heroes, sir!
Joss Whedon recognized genius when he heard it and kept the line in. Sometimes actors understand their characters better than pages of carefully crafted dialogue ever could. Those 4 words said more about Mal's cocky, self-aware heroism than most characters get in entire monologues. 20 years later, people still quote it at conventions, use it on social media, and probably work it into wedding vows. Nothing says eternal commitment quite like a sarcastic quip to space fascists. Speaking of commitment, let's talk about the kind that costs actual money. Serious money. Number 13. The Spaceship model cost $100,000. The stunning Serenity miniature used for exterior shots cost approximately $100,000 to build. For a show that barely lasted half a season, that's either the most expensive fan collectible ever created or the saddest waste of a modeling budget in television history. Visual effects supervisor Lonnie Perister and his team obsessed over every detail. Every rivet, every scorch mark, every tiny dent was crafted with the precision of people building something for a multi-season run. The model looked so realistic on camera that audiences assumed it was a full-scale practical effect. Do the math. That works out to roughly $7,000 per episode just for one prop. Fox executives probably had heart palpitations watching that budget line item grow while wondering why they didn't just repurpose old Star Trek models. But here's the beautiful irony: that ludicrously expensive piece of metal and plastic became more iconic than most shows' entire runs. It's been featured at conventions, documented in behind-the-scenes specials, and inspired countless fan replicas. Sometimes the best investments make accountants weep, but give fans something to treasure forever. Of course, not every department got to blow six figures on a single item. Some had to get creative with the budget, really creative. Number 12. They recycled Starship Troopers costumes. Those sharp, intimidating Alliance uniforms that made the purple bellies look properly fascistic. They came straight from the 1997 film Starship Troopers. Costume designer Shauna Trpcic faced Firefly's notoriously tight budget and made a brilliant call. She raided the costume warehouse and repurposed Paul Verhoeven's satirical military gear. The thematic fit was almost too perfect to be accidental. Starship Troopers satirized militaristic propaganda and authoritarian control disguised as heroism. The Alliance represented essentially the same thing, just with a slicker public relations department. Those uniforms didn't just save money. They came preloaded with exactly the right subtext. Sometimes the best creative choices happen because you can't afford your first option. Speaking of borrowing from other sci-fi properties, the VFX team took that concept and ran with it in the sneakiest way possible. Number 11. Star Wars ships are hidden in Firefly and you never saw them. If you've got sharp eyes and an unhealthy amount of free time, you might have spotted familiar shapes hiding in Firefly's space scenes. The visual effects team, being the sci-fi geeks they were, tucked miniature Star Wars ships into background shots as Easter eggs. Somewhere in the black, there's a tiny Millennium Falcon drifting through frame, probably wondering how it jumped franchises. It's like a secret handshake between space smugglers, assuming Han Solo and Mal Reynolds didn't immediately start arguing about who had the cooler ship. The effects crew understood they were working on something special and wanted to honor the space opera that made modern sci-fi television possible. It's the kind of loving detail that separates people collecting paychecks from people genuinely passionate about their craft. These hidden references reward the kind of obsessive freeze-frame hunting that defines true fandom. 20 years later, people are still spotting new details. Now let's talk about something you couldn't freeze-frame spot because it was too big to hide: the actual Serenity herself. Number 10. Serenity was a real full-size set. Modern sci-fi productions lean heavily on green screens and digital sets. Firefly said no thanks and constructed a full-scale functional spaceship across 2 sound stages. The cockpit connected to the galley, which flowed into crew quarters, which led down to the cargo bay and engine room. Actors could walk from Wash's dinosaur collection all the way to Kaylee's hammock without a single cut. They weren't pretending in front of painted plywood, they were moving through an actual space that existed in 3 dimensions. This obsessive attention to spatial continuity helped the cast inhabit their characters more naturally. They always knew where they were in relation to everything else. You can see it in their performances. There's a groundedness that comes from acting on a real set instead of imagining your surroundings. When Fox cancelled the show, the set was dismantled. But when Serenity the movie got greenlit, producers loved the original design so much they rebuilt the entire thing from scratch. Even Hollywood executives occasionally recognize when something works perfectly. They created a real spaceship, filled it with television's best ensemble cast, and then Fox aired episodes out of order. The irony is almost painful. Out of order makes it sound like an accident. This was a deliberate choice that doomed the show from day one. Number 9. Fox's brilliant idea: air the episodes out of order. Let's talk about how to kill your own show with surgical precision. Fox decided to premiere Firefly with The Train Job instead of the 2-hour pilot Serenity because they thought the pilot was too slow and lacked sufficient action. So they skipped all the character introductions, world building and emotional foundation, dropping audiences into the middle of the story like confused wedding guests who showed up during the reception. It's like starting Star Wars with The Empire Strikes Back and then acting shocked when people don't understand what a Jedi is, or opening a restaurant by handing people the bill before they've ordered anything. Viewers were understandably lost. Who are these people? What's a brown coat? Why should I care about this rusty spaceship? The ratings collapsed, and Fox executives probably sat in conference rooms genuinely puzzled about why their strategy backfired. Meanwhile, every other network took notes on what not to do when launching a sci-fi series. The case study in how to murder a promising show was written in real time. Fox took a carefully crafted narrative, shuffled it like cards in the hands of someone who'd had too many drinks, and acted surprised when audiences couldn't follow the plot. It's the kind of decision that makes you wonder if network executives were secretly alliance operatives trying to destroy quality television from within. Quick question for the browncoats out there. Which character would you most want on your crew? The unshakable Zoe? The sunny Kaylee? The mysterious Book? Drop your picks in the comments. And if you're enjoying this dive into the verse, hit that like button and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories from your favorite shows. Number 8. Zac Efron played a young Simon before High School Musical transformed him into Disney royalty.
So, how'd the independents cut us off?
They were using dinosaurs.
Jen taught a way.
Language, young man.
And launched a million teenage crushes, Zac Efron's very first credited role was playing 13-year-old Simon Tam in the episode Safe. The flashback scene shows young Simon already displaying his medical brilliance and protective instincts toward River. It's maybe 30 seconds of screen time, but everyone starts somewhere. Even future heartthrobs have to begin with bit parts in space westerns. The guy who would later convince millions of kids that high school was all choreographed dance numbers got his start in the verse. The earnest determination he brought to that brief scene is basically the same energy he'd bring to every Disney project.
That sounds so good.
Just with more medical equipment and less singing. Efron later admitted he had no idea what Firefly was during the audition. He just knew it involved space doctors and figured it beat another cereal commercial. 20 years on, he probably gets more questions about those 30 seconds than some actors get about their entire careers. Now, while Efron gets bombarded with questions about his cameo, there's one question Joss Whedon intentionally left unanswered, and it's brilliant. Number 7. What happened to Earth stays a mystery. One of Firefly's smartest creative choices was what it refused to explain: the actual fate of Earth. We know humanity evacuated after exhausting the planet's resources. We know they terraformed new worlds in a distant star system. But the specific catastrophe that forced everyone to abandon the only home we'd ever known? Joss Whedon kept it intentionally vaguer than a politician's campaign promises. This wasn't lazy storytelling, it was strategic brilliance. By leaving Earth's destruction mysterious, the show forced both characters and viewers to focus forward instead of backward. No endless exposition dumps about the Great Disaster. No tedious flashback episodes, just people trying to survive in the universe they inherited. It also keeps fan theories alive 2 decades later. Climate collapse, nuclear war, alien invasion, corporate apocalypse. Take your pick. The writers scattered enough hints to support any interpretation without confirming anything. In a genre where fans demand encyclopedic wikis explaining every background detail, Firefly proved that sometimes the most compelling stories trust your imagination to fill the gaps. Speaking of gaps, here's one that wasn't intentional, and it haunts fans to this day. Number 6. The Lost River episode never happened. We almost got an entire episode exploring River's nightmare at the Alliance Academy.
Doesn't hurt to have a contingency plan, Kelly. I'm thinking, since we're unarmed, we should take them by surprise.
Almost. Fox cancelled the show before they could film what would have been the show's darkest, most psychologically intense hour. The planned episode would have revealed exactly how the Alliance shattered and rebuilt River's mind. We'd have seen the experiments, the other test subjects who didn't survive, the full, horrifying scope of what made her simultaneously brilliant and broken. It would have been psychological horror disguised as science fiction. the kind of crucial backstory that most shows save for sweeps week to boost ratings. Before it could be filmed, Fox pulled the plug. One of the most anticipated backstories in sci-fi television vanished into development limbo, filed alongside the instruction manual on how not to cancel good shows that networks apparently never read. The script supposedly still exists somewhere in Joss Whedon's files, a tantalizing glimpse of what could have been, assuming it hasn't been lost in whatever storage unit holds Hollywood's abandoned dreams. All right, enough sadness. Let's talk about something that'll make you smile. Number 5. Summer was the cast's running joke. Whenever someone flubbed a line or missed a cue on the Firefly set, the entire cast would yell "Summer" in unison.
Firefly is the source of probably more joy and pain than anything I've done.
Not because they were dreaming about vacation days. This was actually an affectionate tribute to Summer Glau, who faced the impossible task of delivering television's most complex dialogue. Imagine nailing cryptic psychic ramblings while performing physically demanding stunts and conveying multiple layers of meaning through fragmented sentences. No pressure. The joke started when Glau struggled with a particularly brain-melting scene in the pilot. The cast adopted her name as their universal "oops" signal, and it became such a cherished tradition that cast members still reference it at conventions.
Action!
It's the kind of inside joke that transforms a workplace into a family. When your character's dialogue reads like fortune cookies written by a philosophy graduate having an existential crisis, you deserve all the sympathy available. Speaking of the cast, let's talk about who almost joined this family. Number 4. Neil Patrick Harris auditioned for Simon. Neil Patrick Harris auditioned for Dr. Simon Tam and reportedly nailed it.
Yeah, no worries, just here for the show. You're doing great so far. Love the fireworks.
But producers ultimately felt he was better suited for comedy, which proved to be the correct call. It's hard to picture the guy who later starred in musical comedy specials brooding his way through alliance conspiracy plots and illegal surgeries in cargo holds. The casting drama extended beyond Simon. Rebecca Gayheart was originally cast as Inara and filmed the entire pilot. After reviewing the footage, the creative team realized the chemistry wasn't working. So they recast with Morena Baccarin and reshot everything. Somewhere in an alternate universe, Firefly stars Neil Patrick Harris and Rebecca Gayheart. That version probably features more show tunes and completely different energy. Sometimes the casting gods know better than initial instincts, but casting was just the beginning. The real genius was what Whedon built the entire show around, and it wasn't Star Wars or Star Trek. Number 3. A Civil War book inspired everything. Joss Whedon didn't just randomly decide to make a space western. He built Firefly's entire emotional core around Michael Shara's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel about Gettysburg, The Killer Angels. Whedon envisioned a post-war universe where the losing side had to figure out how to live with dignity in a system built by their enemies. The Browncoats weren't just rebels, they were Reconstruction-era veterans trying to find purpose after everything they fought for crumbled. Suddenly, all the pieces fit. The military slang, the hierarchy, the deep-seated resentment toward the Alliance, Mal's bitterness mixed with his stubborn code of honor. Malcolm Reynolds isn't simply a spaceship captain. He's a defeated soldier trying to maintain his principles in a universe that no longer has room for them. That historical grounding gave the show weight most space operas never achieve. These characters weren't just wearing costumes and delivering lines. They were people carrying trauma, shaped by loss, fighting to preserve their humanity after losing everything else. Now, while Whedon drew from Civil War history,
What I said to Joss in our first meeting was, I'm so not this guy.
Nathan Fillion had his own source of inspiration hanging on the wall, literally. Number 2. Nathan Fillion's Han Solo tribute. Nathan Fillion is such a devoted Star Wars fan that he requested a Han Solo in carbonite replica on the Firefly set. Production agreed, and if you know where to look, you can spot it throughout the series, usually hanging in the cargo bay like the galaxy's most expensive wall art. It's Fillion's personal homage to the scoundrel archetype that inspired Malcolm Reynolds. The parallels are obvious. Both Han and Mal are charming rogues with flexible morals, loyal crews, and a shoot-first mentality. The main difference is Han eventually joined the good guys, while Mal's relationship with authority remains permanently complicated. The prop became such a beloved Easter egg that fans specifically hunted for it in every episode. It's basically Where's Waldo, but with frozen smugglers.
I expected movies to be much slower.
Josh says, I'm gonna make a movie. And then it's like Christmas, but like a surprise Christmas.
And if you thought that Easter egg was impressive, here's the real mind-blower. Number 1. The hidden Star Wars crossover. Between Nathan Fillion's Carbonite Shrine and the hidden Star Wars ships scattered throughout the series, Firefly accidentally created the ultimate unofficial crossover between two of sci-fi's greatest franchises. Somehow, nobody got sued. Picture it, the Millennium Falcon flying escort while Han Solo's frozen body hangs in Serenity's cargo hold. The crossover nobody requested, but everyone secretly wanted. Made possible because the cast and crew were massive nerds with access to studio props. These Easter eggs weren't random fan service. They were love letters to the genre from people who knew they were working on borrowed time. The cast and crew understood their show might not last, so they snuck in tributes to the stories that inspired them. It's the kind of detail that explains Firefly's devoted cult following, despite Fox's best efforts to kill it. These weren't just people collecting paychecks. They were fans creating art for other fans, hiding references that reward obsessive attention and frame-by-frame analysis. That's what made Firefly special. Not just what ended up on screen, but the love poured into every detail, every Easter egg, every creative choice. And there you have it, 15 wild facts about a show that burned brilliantly for one short season but created a legacy that refuses to fade. Which fact surprised you most? Are you still hoping for a revival, or do you think Firefly's perfection comes partly from never having time to disappoint us? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the shows that shaped us. And remember, you can't take the sky from us.